There's no way to avoid risk. This is such a juicy topic that I'm going to cover here today, because how many of us have gone around trying to survive our life, right? So the first thing I want to make you aware of is there is no way to avoid risk. When you really feel into what I'm saying to you, risk in itself, in this time space reality that we live in, is but an illusion. What do I mean by that, right? As children, I want you to consider that we were not taught anything other than to stay safe, right? How many of you have been told, stay safe, watch, what you do, everything is risky, like the illusion is like something is going to go wrong and we could die, right? So we've prioritized safety above all else. Would you agree? And in doing so, what happens, this creates, by us prioritizing safety, it creates a blind spot, which causes us not to see how to make our dreams come true, where the opportunities are. When we're always guarded and worried about problems, we don't look for solutions or opportunities, right? But the idea of safety is a complete illusion, because are we really ever safe in this time space reality? I mean, at any moment, life can change, right? Like, really notice that. Like, we're not controlling the air. We're not controlling gravity. We're not controlling any of it. So there's really no way to avoid risk, as your birth automatically in this time space reality puts you at the risk of dying. It's not that you may die. We're all gonna die, right? Like, really feel that. Not one of us gets out of here alive. This is really something to really internalize. Like, so then what are we trying to survive, right? The reason this is important to really come to terms with, to really process this about what you have about surviving, is because I want you to consider that something is always at stake, right? Something is always at stake, right? We're not going to get what we want by holding on to something else. Something is always at stake. We're going to have to let go of the beach to go into the ocean. To be an entrepreneur, we're going to have to let go of the illusion of safety and security inside of a job in order to have our own business eventually. Not to do it all in one fell swoop, but that's what has to happen. So you can only ever really decide which risks you're going to take. Everything's at risk. But by you taking, deciding which risk you're going to take and go all in on it. I mean, mentally, emotionally, physically, behavior-wise, habit-wise, skill set-wise, right? And never look back. That's how you're going to succeed. You've got to ask yourself, what are the risks of not doing that? What are the risks of not doing the internal work, being here so that you live in your aligned self? What are the real risks of that? What is that costing you mentally, emotionally, physically, time-wise, relationship-wise, financially, right? The real risk is you won't get what you really want out of life, right? And I like to say this quite often, because most oftentimes people confuse, like, they'd rather be a quitter than a loser. So they'd rather quit so that they don't look like they lost. But I want you to consider something. If you don't have what you really want in life, haven't you already lost? The illusion is thinking that we haven't. And so the reason why we have to be able to look lovingly at this is because we cannot solve a problem that we're not willing to first accept that we have, right? So what is that costing you to stay the same? What is it costing you not to awaken to your true self? What is it really costing you not to be free to be you and live the life you've always imagined or envisioned, right? So whether you're choosing to go all in and quantum leap your results, right? Because, when we raise consciousness, it doesn't take time. We can quantum leap results, right? It's kind of like very much how as a baby, we went from crawling to walking. That's a quantum leap. Why? Because we can't crawl fast enough to actually walk. So that means in order to walk, we have to stop doing everything we were doing as crawling and get up and walk. So going all in and quantum leaping your results, right? What does it cost you if you're choosing to do that? What is those results versus you doing the familiar routines? You have to be willing to let go of the familiar to have the unfamiliar, right? You gotta let go of the beach to have the ocean. So in this time-space reality, playing it safe in life here, when everybody's gonna die, right, is the fastest way to lose. It is the surest way to lose. It's how people settle or become the status quo. So in reality, your physicalness is not going to die, right? It is dying, right? In reality, it is dying. And you, the reality of who you really are, we are not our bodies. The reality of who you are cannot be destroyed. Does that make sense? So to be free of this attachment of death, right, we have to let go of needing to do anything to survive. We have to let go of constantly living in concerns of surviving, right? Constantly living in concerns of worry, right? Constantly, and really be here in every moment, right? Because the body is all going to die. We don't take the body with us. So you have to become aware of anywhere you see yourself as a fixed way of being, as if you think you are your body or you think you are your mind, where you are compartmentalizing or describing yourself in certain, situations or certain points in life, like as, oh, but I am this type of person, or in my past, right, I did this, rather than in the now, who I am is this. So really feel that. You have to be willing to let go of any past labels, any type of visualizing yourself as someone who used to procrastinate or someone who used to, whatever is in the past. It's assuming that you're fixed. But in this time-space reality, if you notice, like gravity is always turning, even though gravity is always happening and the earth is always spinning on its axis, even though we don't consciously, or we're not consciously aware of it on a day-to-day basis, doesn't make it that it's not true. Make sense? And so anytime you think you're in a fixed way of being, I want you to consider nothing is fixed. You're not really stuck. You just keep recreating the same patterns and programming over and over and over again, right? And the illusion is you're stuck. So the truth is there is no such thing as fear, even though we've been saying it through this whole thing right here, because I want you to feel the difference between danger and fear. So danger is brain-based, right? This is where danger is when your amygdala is activated and you're in imminent danger, meaning somebody has a gun to your head or there is a knife to your throat. And that is a really good thing. We want to be triggered like that, so we do something, right? That is true survival. Fear is completely made up. Really feel the difference. This is danger. This is fear. Fear is completely made up, meaning it's purely in the mind. It's not happening. Where do I have a gun to my head? Where do I have a knife? Where am I really in fear, right? Of something of danger, because it's not. It's made up. It's completely coming from your original core trauma, mind-based thinking of projections, all coming from your protective self based on your original trauma and the decisions you programmed it to do based on when you were 2, 6 months, 3 years, whatever the age you were in your trauma. We're going to look lovingly. And when you made those decisions, you told yourself to guard yourself. And so it is on high alert for a perceived threat. It doesn't care if the threat is real or not. Really hear that, right? Because when that trauma happened, it was all emotional. It was all emotional. So, except nothing I've experienced has been caused by anything outside of me. And so you really want to be able to give up that there is such a thing as risking or the idea of safety, because everything's at risk, right? You want to really understand that there is no freedom when you're in need energy, in need mode. You want to debunk the myths and about that time is just an illusion and we're only ever experiencing the now. And to consciously and actively choose your experiences, creating your reality deliberately on purpose. So you want to learn to dissolve fear or the illusion of fear, right? By accepting whatever is in front of you, by pulling up and out. Whenever you're in doubt, pull up and out. Look down on the patterning. That's step one in the aim, and notice it with curiosity. Observe it. And that way you can just see what it is and then start, sorting out the truth from the lies so that you can come into acceptance and then forgiveness and then transcendence. Right? Therefore, realizing the greatest risk that you are risking in this life, in this time-space reality, is by not choosing the risk, by going all in on it, processing your emotions to then feel the freedom and alignment that was always there in every moment.